Welcome back to KingWoes Court, episode 25 inbound. Woo! I don't know why I do that now. I just like doing that now, and that's become part of my shtick. Welcome back to KingWoes Court. Thanks very much for watching the show or listening if you're doing either. We're on the Dynamo Podcast Network, of course, and all that crap. Like, share, subscribe. I'm not a professional at this, but I love what I do. I have some very special guests in with me tonight from the Irish scene. A very, very good, very important band, actually. And it's great because I've been trying to get... Me and John have been going back and forth about this for I don't know how long, and he
probably a year now.
Yeah, and he probably thought he probably thought I didn't want to bring you on, but I did. It's just, I'm old. I forget.
You're so selfish, Carol.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it's all about you.
I nearly died on purpose, like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was just to spite us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Planned all along.
As you can see, I have a lovely group of boys with me tonight, and they are the legends that are all season. Gentlemen, thank you for coming to KingWoes Court.
Thanks for finally having us.
Oh yeah, cheers, man.
No problem. I was just gonna say, like I said it off. Where did you get that fucking farmer gangster fella? I mean, Jesus Christ.
He goes through an identity crisis roughly every 6 to 8 weeks.
Imagine him trying to chat up a board. Yeah, I'm from old season. Like, yeah, look at me. Like,
yeah, of course you are.
Yeah, no, you're from the fucking Rubber Bandits. That's what you're from. Anyway, sorry, I don't normally attack my guests, but
not this early. Anyway.
That warrants it. How's the form, everybody?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
All right, actually, yeah.
Good.
Good, man. As good as it can be, I suppose, in these times.
Yeah. This is it. It's very hard, isn't it? Really, when you're trying to stay focused as a musician. I mean,
focus is a big thing. We said it on. We had another interview there last month, and this big thing with me is just focus at the minute. It's everywhere, and there is such a thing called pandemic brain fog. I definitely have it.
Yeah.
And it's as well. It's the uncertainty. You don't want to get your own expectations up too high of having a schedule that you be able to fulfill. So you just tend to do nothing. So you get caught in limbo between like expectation and like the reality of what's going on. So yeah, it is hard.
It really is, and I mean, yeah, like just one of you give me a little background on the band, because as I was saying to you, someone may not have heard of Old Season before, and shame on them if they haven't. But give us a little bit of a background on the band, if you will, please.
Yeah, we have been on the go for a long time. I remember joining the band when I was 16 or 17. So I've been with them for a while. It was Carnena when I joined, and I think we had Volume 1 was released in, God, what was it? That's
2005.
2005, yeah. And we had Frank on that one, and then Archaic Creation, and yeah, I mean, our problem has been throughout the years, as you can tell by our lack of albums, just been getting into the studio. It's not down to lack of productivity, because the lads will tell you, like, it's a ridiculous amount of songs at the minute, but it's just getting everything organised and into a nice little package where we can schedule everything. And it was going fine, but then coronavirus happened, and we're hoping now when all this does settle, we'll be able to kind of make up for all those years of lost productivity and just start banging out songs.
Lovely. Getting
them out instead of just having them in the rehearsal room, because like I say, we're the most productive band that no one knows about,
Yeah, absolutely, and that's all right. There's a couple of bands that I always say should be kind of, bigger than they are. I always think yourselves and Graveyard Dirt are such a fucking band, yeah. But again, I mean, even my band, we've only got like an album and an EP and a live EP, and like that. It's not easy. It's not always easy to just shit out albums, like, or singles even,
Yeah.
So I can understand where you're coming from, but I think we definitely need more Old Season out there for definite.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out ways in the future as well, instead of just relying on the traditional professional studio structure, because I think that's been the main thing that's held us back, really. Like, is because yourself, like, you have to get the money together. you have to have your schedules like meticulously thought out nearly in a way, like to get it all done. And that in itself, planning for that can be like your first obstacle for even starting sometimes, you know. So I think if we can have a bit more easy access to recording equipment, you know, that will sort out a lot of the problems. So hopefully in the future there's something we'll definitely do.
Yeah, definitely. How long are you in the band, Blanchfield?
Oh, as I said, since I was 16 or 17, so probably I was in third year in school.
Jesus.
And I'm 36 now, so
Jesus, that's a long time.
You've spent more of your life in the band than not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, it's a testament though to the philosophy of our band, is that, you know, like we've been around that long and we're not like massive, but we're still going. It's because we absolutely love the music. The music comes first. And if we had put those expectations on ourselves, you know, we have to have this level of success and, you know, productivity by this period of our career, I don't think we'd still be together. You know, putting that much pressure on everyone it's a big barrier. So we just love playing music. We love spending time with each other, like on a personal level. We all get on, you know, but the creativity between the six of us is incredible. Like, so that's kind of why we're still here. Like, it is special.
It's lovely. I don't know. It's lovely to hear that kind of camaraderie, you know, because like you know, and I see a little similarity there to my band, and I'm like, I don't, you know, I will talk about my band and Mike because it's my show, you know. No, no, it's all about us swapping stories, basically, you know. But I see a similarity there. Like, we love just playing music, you know. Like, we've had a little bit of bits and pieces of moderate success, whatever, like yourselves or whatever, you know. But like, we're not doing it for that. We're doing it. We're all doing it because we love it, and we like the people that we're playing music with, and we love. I mean, I'm sure there's no feeling like when you make a song that you're really, really proud of. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely.
Or if you nail something in the studio, John, you can probably relate to this as well. If you could nail something that you never thought you could nail vocally in the studio, it's one of the best feelings ever. Like.
I know, yeah. And it's strange. It's one of those. It's rare that it happens in the studio. I feel like it's more often to be one of those things you'll get live by accident. I don't know. Studio can be a weird environment sometimes, annoyingly, which is like that's when you want to be at your best, you know. But it's.
I think that comes down to the kind of the professional barrier of a professionally run studio. It's just that pressure there because you have your schedules, and I think if you had a more free access to a studio, you know, cheaper, and that, I think it's better for your own creativity. You know, exploring in a much more relaxed environment, like.
Yeah, and you can see why a lot of bands go that way. Like, I know, I'm pretty sure Dark Tranquility, their last couple of albums have been more or less home recorded. I think Hammerfall have gone that way, and Pretty Maids and stuff. You can see why bands do it after a while, especially probably as they get older as well. You know, they don't kind of want to fuck about too much. You know.
But as well as that, I mean, like the software you can get now for home recordings is second to none. It's amazing.
Like, entry level software as well. Like, you know, it's amazing.
I know and I mean, if you can do it and then maybe get it mixed and mastered professionally or whatever, but like if you can get the guts of it done yourself, you know exactly what you want, you know exactly how it's meant to sound. I'm sure you know, again, the worst thing you can have is an engineer telling you, oh, you should do it this way or you do it that way. Like, you know, we're all okay with a bit of input, you know what I mean? But not when you start telling you what. I'm not saying they all do, but you know.
Look, we have a great time for Mick Richards, and it's for me, because I've been involved in like all the other albums. Well, actually, Volume 1 was home recorded on a very basic laptop, right? We didn't have a sound. We didn't even know what a sound card was back in 2004. So we had a 30-second window to get the guitars done before the latency kicked in. So everything was done 30 seconds, stop, 30 seconds, stop.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, it took months for myself and Smith to just get our heads around it. Like,
oh, that's a pain.
But that was a long time ago, you know, we figured it out since.
But isn't it great you can look back at that with fond memories and like that's what it's all about, isn't it?
But it gives you it's giving me the whole scope really, because then the next one was in Fall Studio in Wales, which is absolutely incredible studio. I loved it there. But that was really on, like, because you're out in the middle of nowhere, it's very expensive. You have your 10 days, 2 weeks, right? And you really have to schedule right. And, you know, if you go over your 2 weeks, like, there's probably a chance you're not going to be able to come back for a long time. So you have to get everything done. Like, in fairness to Chris Fielding, who was the engineer at the time, like, he put in 16-hour days.
Wow.
Like, we were up all hours of the night doing stuff. But for me, that took away a massive amount of creativity. Like you were talking about, John, maybe doing stuff off the cuff in the studio. I think in that kind of atmosphere, it's very hard to, because you put so much pressure on yourself, because you're aware of everyone else's schedule the next day. You're aware of the engineer needing to go to bed at some point because he has to work the next day. To me, it's not the best environment. And then Mick Richards was kind of like a happy balance between the two, because, you know, you could kind of come in and out, you know, over a period of weeks or months or whatever.
As well as that, he'd know a lot of our bands as well, and he'd kind of know what we're like and how we work. And I think nearly every one of us have worked with him now at this stage.
Yeah, exactly.
A vast amount of us anyway.
Yeah, it's like, should be a rite of passage, like Mecca for Irish heavy metalers. You have to go to Mick Richards and get a schooling about your guitar.
I think I need to have him back on again on the show. I really enjoyed when I was in the studio with him doing the podcast. I would have loved to have the video going.
Yeah.
Now, but it was,
he's such a character.
He's great.
Yeah, he's dead great.
James, how long are you in the band?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's about since 2010, 2011. I remember it because I was working in Tesco's at the time. But I used to live beside a mutual friend of our bass player, Dave Copley. And I think it was Dave that mentioned it to Richie, that they were looking for a guitar player. So Richie, obviously hearing me next door to him most days, was like, "Oh, there's a guitar player living next door to me. Why don't you just try him out?" And they've kept me ever since.
That's because they haven't got the guts to kick you out, man.
Well, not when he's a crystal meth farmer.
Yeah.
Great. He's packing a revolver there.
Flying into jam with a pitchfork, like, you know. Sorry. I know this is really bad slagging, this is, man.
No, but to go back to what you were saying.
You can probably tell I've taken worse, and I'm well able for it.
What were you saying, James?
Yeah, no, to go back to what you said about camaraderie, it was like, I think with Fuzzy, he was an amazing guitar player, you know, auditioned him, but it was just how well he fitted personality-wise. I mean, just having like endless amounts of laughs, and that's as important as having like someone who's a virtuoso. I think it's actually nearly more important, because there's no point being brilliant at your instrument, but if you're an absolute bollocks, like, you know, you have to spend a lot of time with these people.
Yeah.
So Fuzzy ticks all the boxes there.
We used to see our band like this is probably going to sound silly, but we used to look. Our band was like a gang, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like a lot of mates, a gang, and we kind of lost that because with so many changes over the years, and like, I mean, I'm the only original member left, you know what I mean. But you kind of lose that feeling of a gang, you know. But when we had a couple of the original members back there a few years ago, that feeling kind of came back again, and it was cool, you know. I'd say you guys still have that feeling though, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Big time, yeah.
Like, I'm getting that feeling just even chatting to you. It's great, like, you know, I'm enjoying this chat so far, even though I probably taken up most of the airtime. You know?
Well, to be fair, if you had the six of us on together, there's not a chance you're getting a word in edgeways. Yeah. It's just like a ball of excitement there, for, you know.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, John, how long are you with the boys? I know, as I was saying to you earlier on, Frank was big shoes to fill, in fairness.
Yeah.
And as I said, boy, Jesus, you do it justice. Yeah. Tell us your story.
Yeah, for me, it was 2013 I joined, and I had auditioned for a wedding band the week before, and luckily I didn't get it. But yeah, I had seen at the time, I think it was on, I don't think it was Metal Ireland, I think it was on Boards or somewhere like that. I'd seen somebody had mentioned that all season we're looking for a singer, and I even kind of thought about it for a second. Then I think, like a lot of people, I kind of had the kind of the wrong idea of what they were. I was kind of thinking, oh no, like they're doomed. Like I wouldn't suit that. So I didn't even think about it, you know. And then it was funny. I had put up a link to my SoundCloud on Metal Ireland, just kind of going, oh here. I think I was trying to get a Judas Priest cover band going. That's what it was. I was trying to get a Judas Priest tribute going, and so I'd put up a link just to my SoundCloud with some of my songs on it. And Smith, the keyboard player, he messaged me and said, "Oh, how's it going? Dermot from Old Season here. Wonder if you fancy coming down and audition." And I was like, well, seeing as they've asked me, like I was like, I'm still like, I still don't think I'd be a good fit, but like, you know, I'll go down and see, you know. And then they sent me a couple of songs. They sent me 3 songs, all of which ended up being on the last album. And when I heard those songs, I was like, oh no, this is exactly the sort of stuff I want to do. I then went and re-listened to like Archaic and stuff, and going, this is nowhere near as doomy as I remember it. So I was like, yeah, I can have, like I can definitely get me teeth around this, you know. And yeah, like you say about Frank, like I was obviously a bit apprehensive. Like Frank probably is the best, like certainly for the type of singing I like, I'd see probably the best metal singer in the country. Like, you know, there's some people might prefer. I don't think there are that many good, like really melodic singers, you know. We've got so many bands that are just kind of harsh vocals and stuff, you know. But so yeah, I was definitely a bit apprehensive. Like I'd seen like the lads live a couple of times, so I knew not only what sort of singer Frank was, what sort of presence he was on stage and stuff, you know. But the lads, luckily, after like the first audition, they were like, because I had to go down a couple of times just so they knew I wasn't like bullshitting. But they'd said to me early on, like, there's no point trying to like mimic Frank or trying to do an imitation, because it'll just be like, oh yeah, he does what Frank does, but not as good, you know.
Yeah, sure.
So there's kind of bits. There's kind of I've kind of gotten a bit better at kind of digging in deep, and because obviously I have a different kind of tone and a different range to Frank, you know. But I've kind of gotten better from singing this stuff more, at kind of finding a bit more of a deeper tone in my voice now. But yeah.
I mean, like, and like this is just a vocalist's point here. Coming into someone else's role like that, and what I mean is, I would see you as on the same level, if not even higher, and that's no disrespect to Frank. That's respect to the two of you. I've never experienced that singing someone else's stuff. Say,
yeah.
How does that feel? How do you get around that to making it your own?
It's weird. You kind of, for me, you just have to pretend you wrote it. Is kind of the only way to do it, you know. Just for the time you're on stage. Obviously, don't carry that with you and be like, oh yeah, I did write At the Hollow, didn't I? Yeah. But you know, but like, you know, while you're on stage, you know, it's like, I mean, at first I probably was. It took me a while, I'm sure, when we were practicing it and stuff, and even our first gig. I remember seeing, I can't remember who it was. I remember seeing somebody on one of the forums had written a review saying that it was something like at they'd seen the first gig I did, and there was something like, oh, he did a decent job of, you know, the old songs. Then it was like, but when then they'd seen the second one, they were like, but after the second gig, he bait them into submission. I was like, yeah, I think that's pretty fair, because I did have a few months to really kind of think about how to approach them, and it was just like, yeah, just fucking go for it, really. Like I say, it's just pretend, like, I'm without disrespecting like how the songs were originally, because I think I still show some respect to how Frank sang it. Like, I don't change his melodies really very much, you know. I'm
not a singer, but do you approach it like an actor would character?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Like, I think when you're it's gonna sound a bit pretentious now, the next sentence, I'm sorry, but when you're a singer, you are an actor as well, because it's like you're sort of it's the same, but like, I mean, to be certain songs with really high parts that I'm trying to kind of do a bit of a Rob Halford thing or a Dickinson thing, I have to just in my head go, yeah, I am Rob Halford, I am Bruce Dickinson, you know, just to get through that song, yeah.
And you know, something what made me think of that was I was listening to Live Evil by Black Sabbath there the other day, and Dio does his own take on Ozzy's vocals, and it's totally different.
Yeah,
you know, in a way, it almost sounds dismissive. It's almost like he feels like Dio or Ozzy's beneath him, you know. Whereas they both have just as much to offer in totally different ways, you know.
It was very hard for Dio in any way to kind of acknowledge the stamp of Ozzy, I think. You know, at least with John and Frank, there's there's a good bit of a similarity. It's just really tone.
Yeah.
It comes down to tone, but the other two are like different schools altogether. Like,
yeah,
you know?
like Dio obviously was a big fucking almost operatic kind of singer. Everything was all real strong vibrato, and say Ozzy, as he's kind of said himself in the past, he always wanted to just be in the Beatles. So it's more closer. It's more closer to almost like a John Lennon sort of vocal or something. Yeah. So it's so different. Yeah, me and Frank at least were in the same wheelhouse, so it's kind of easy to kind of sing each other's stuff, you know.
Awesome. Tell me how you go about writing songs. Like, is there a specific way you write? Who comes up with the riffs? And I mean, John, are you writing the lyrics or?
For the most part, like for Beyond the Black, what do we have, 9 songs? I think maybe 6 I did on my own. But then, one of them, Elegy, those lyrics are Smith's, and then there was a couple. Nevermore, I did like kind of the first chunk, and then Smith had this. He had this idea for the outro. What else? Scavenger was kind of half Anto, half me. So we kind of this next album we're working on. 2 of the songs are fuzzies. I've kind of tweaked them a little bit, you know. So it's we're not really it's cool singing your own lyrics and stuff. But sometimes if I'll just say to one of the lads, go here, listen, I haven't got anything for this song yet. So if you can come up with something good before I do, like I see no reason to change it, you know.
Yeah, it's nice when you can do that. Like, I mean, I have a defined role in my band. I am the only lyricist, and I'm looking at some of the stuff, and I'm like, how the fuck did I write that shit? Like,
we're lucky that way that we're all kind of multitaskers. Like, there's no real set way of writing a song. Like, for Beyond the Black, a lot of it was I was coming in with riffs, and then Fuzzy would have a riff, and Smith would have a riff, and I'm really good at storing stuff in my head, like riff-wise. So even if I heard Fuzzy coming up, starting practice with a riff, I'd be able to add something to it nearly instantly and be able to structure it then from there. And same with all this, I kind of pride myself on that as well, being able to put the pieces together. Even though like I would write a good bit myself, but I try not to use a whole song of my stuff as much as possible. I try to blend what everyone else has. And even Anto, like on the drums, like Anto is just as good a contributor musically as the rest of us, you know. And like none of us are very protective over a song until it's finished, you know. So it's fair game when it's out there. No one says, look, this is the way I had it in my head and this is the way it should be. It's like the beauty about it is you come in, you have something in your head, and then as soon as everyone else starts putting their piece on it, it goes completely in a different direction. And why we're so good at what we do is we all allow it to go in the natural direction that it goes on the day, and then we just try and finish it and polish it off from what happens on the day when everyone puts their bits in. And then even like John might, you know, a month later, when he's working on the lyrics, might make a few suggestions, and we'll alter bits around as we go. And it's a very liberating process, to be honest, to write with the lads. Like, it's just so easy, too easy actually.
You know, you're making me feel like I want to be in your band. It just sounds fucking great.
We had writing bands 2019 because we're trying to get stuff, you know, for the next album. We're trying to just focus on however many songs we're going to put on it. So we put in a self-imposed writing band. Now I think it was probably me who came up with the idea, and then literally within a half an hour, we had another 3 songs for the bass, another 3 songs done. Like,
he'd impose the ban upon himself, and then look, I have a new riff all of a sudden.
and it was probably a brilliant riff as well.
Yeah.
Well, it was when the lads got their feet into it,
anyway. Jeez, what was I going to say to you there? See, there you go. There's no professionalism in my fucking podcast, you know?
Yeah, but it's natural, you know. No one can go to a pub now, so this is more like eavesdropping on conversation that might have been happening around the table in a bar somewhere.
I knew what I was going to say. James, start yourself. Give me your main musical influence.
Me?
No, sorry, Kieran.
We usually say the confusion. I'm usually known as Fuzzy, and he's known as Jimmy.
Right, I'll go you as Fuzzy, okay?
Musical influences, I suppose. My first bands that I kind of liked would be Guns N' Roses and AC/DC, and I kind of went more then towards the kind of bluesy rock kind of background. So it was Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple for a while, because you get the Monsters of Rock CDs with like 4 CDs, and they'd have like singles of all these, like 1 Judas Priest song, 2 Deep Purple songs. But once I started going to college and meeting people like musicians in societies in college and stuff, you start getting your influences broad, and so then the Pink Floyds come in, Metallica, Iron Maiden. So my influences at the start when I was guitarist mainly be more blues rock based. It'd be like Jimmy Page and Slash. That would be my tier at the time. But I've obviously evolved. Obviously with working with Jimmy as well, he's a very technical guitar player. So he obviously being in a band with him and then seeing how he works, and then obviously you get inspired by each other. I think that's
definitely, because I'm doing more blues stuff now than I would have ever done before.
So it's another thing now where it's more just my peers are influencing me at this stage, and obviously you try and listen to as much music as you can, and all sorts of influences now. I think I was listening to King Crimson the other day. And the magic that is Robert Fripp. So you just, when you think, I'm okay, and then you see Robert Fripp and you're like, he did that 50 years ago and here's struggling.
I respect Robert Fripp because he's married to Toya Wilcox.
Oh, stop. I've seen the videos they've been doing over lockdown. They're crazy.
Oh my God. Wouldn't you like it though? Jimmy, what's your influences, boy?
Mine was, back in the day, was Cradle of Filth. Anytime I tell
get off my podcast.
No, but seriously, for me, like, if my evolution was like, my father was a guitar player for, I played in a band with our drummer's father like for 40 years. He would have came from like the Shadows, Queen and all, and then I went to like Nirvana and Metallica, but they're all very, very kind of normal structured songs. When I heard Cradle of Filth, for me it was just mind blown, because it was the first time I heard like heaviness with kind of melody and stuff. And look, from there it went on to like the Swedish melodic death metal, At the Gates and Dark Tranquility and Flames and all that. I love the guitar work in it. I love that type of stuff. And Cradle of Filth for me was the structure of the songs. It was how a song could revolve around the melody, and not necessarily, obviously, because they're singing it, so not melodic. But the song doesn't really revolve around trying to get the vocals in. So for me, it was just a different way of thinking about music, more like classical music in a way. So yeah, that was a big influence for me, really, to be honest. And at the moment, I'm afraid to say Malmsteen because people might think I can play like that. But at the minute, I'm liking a bit of Malmsteen and some of the neoclassical stuff. My fingers just haven't recognised that my ears are listening to it at the minute.
Oh, I'm sure they'll get there at some point.
Eventually.
John, tell me your influences, buddy.
For me, like the main one is Maiden. I suppose my kind of gateway into metal would have been like probably Radiohead. I think was probably the first kind of rock band I liked. I think I remember hearing Creep on what was it? Do you remember that 2TV? RTE used to have a video show, and Creep was on that, and so I think that was the first rock band I was into. And then probably like a couple of years down the line when Muse came out, I was like, they're kind of like Radiohead but like a bit heavier or whatever. And and then that it just both my brothers were in. Well, one of them would have been a lot more into Maiden than the other, but I remember him trying to get me into Maiden when I was probably a bit too young. Maybe when I was kind of like 10 or 11, and it didn't work, And then it was actually I'd say he's probably sick. It was my older brother Rob, who wouldn't really be much into Maiden. I went to him one evening. I was bored, and I was like, "You have some Maiden stuff on vinyl, don't you?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, you can have them." And I went. I was about 15, I think. I went and listened to the first Maiden album again, and I was like, "How did this like?" Because I remember when my brother Dave, he gave me it was Iron Maiden, Killers, and I think Peace of Mind on tape. And I listened to them, and it was only a couple of songs stuck with me. I think it was Prowler and Flight of Icarus. I remember were the only two. And then about 2 years later, I listened again. And I was like, how the fuck, like the likes of Phantom of the Opera and Remember Tomorrow and stuff. I was like, how did I not notice these songs 2 years ago? So yeah, it was Maiden really was kind of, that was, listen to Maiden, that was when I decided I wanted to be a singer. Like I think that was when I had my mind made up. But then from there, like I'd always kind of say the Holy Trinity of Dio, Dickinson, and Halford. They're the three like main singers.
Yeah.
But then you've got like Steve Perry from Journey, Chris Cornell, Mike Patton, Tony Harnell. Like there's they'd kind of be the main ones. Yeah.
Some fantastic names there. I mean, absolutely. I mean, you can't. I mean, Mike Patton, just for example, how versatile is that man?
I know, yeah. He's done absolutely every fucking style you can think of, and has sounded like one of the best singers at that style, no matter what it is. Like,
yeah.
And it just, sorry to say on behalf of the lads that aren't here, we can't say exactly what their influences, but what makes it interesting for us, I think, as a unit is like Dave's the bass player. He's big into like groove kind of bass metal, so Entombed and all that kind of stuff, sludge, and
Nice.
that would be his kind of main thing. And then Anto, drummer, he's massive Maiden fan, like John, just Maiden the whole way. But listens to all types of metal as well. But and then Smith, he's not. I don't even know what metal he listens to. I know back in the day it was like Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin, so I think that would be his main kind of influences. He
likes Dio as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
The rainbow kind of Dio.
as we know from Greece, he quite likes the song Heaven and Hell. We had in Greece. It'll be too long to explain the whole story, but one of the lads hid Smith's phone in the hotel room, but his ringtone was Heaven and Hell. So every 15 fucking seconds you hear dun, 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 dun. He's like, where the fuck is he? He's like looking inside fucking boxes and stuff.
Yeah, the funniest was he picked up an empty can, and he said,
he started like listening.
That was after an hour, like.
Oh, stop! It was ridiculous, and he's just hanging above his head, and he just look up, and you'll find it.
Yeah, it was in a light about 3 feet above his head.
Yeah, and then Anto, clever enough, coming over and helping, looking for him on the table, and not really helping him. Just it'll be on the table. No, it's not.
It was like a hamster in a cage that could smell cheese, but just couldn't quite put his nose on it.
Yeah. And Anto's pretending he's nothing to do with it. He's turning around to us. Like, will you just fucking stop acting the bollocks? Really, don't mind them, Smith. Like he's acting like we're wearing the wrong, we're laughing, even though he's the one that's in the fucking thing.
That's what you do when you fart and you just want someone else to take the blame.
I always do that on airplanes. I let one rip, like a silent but violent, but then I look at some person who, who's listening to headphones, whatever, not minding me.
Like,
just give me a dirty look.
Just shake your head.
Shake my head, yeah.
I just blame your 3-year-old now, it's great.
Your fart protector.
Absolutely. Forget about gatekeeping, fart protector. So you've done some nice festivals over the years, haven't you?
Yeah, probably not as much as we wanted, but I've done the Hammer of Doom and Up to Hammers. Been in Greece 3 times anyway, but definitely the last time in 2019.
Yeah.
That was definitely the best. I was there, I think 2006 and then 2008. And then 2019 was definitely the best. Yeah, it was class.
Deadly. Was that at the same festival or was it just?
Yeah, well, when we first went out there, I don't think Up to Hammers was up and running. So it would have been, I think Up to Hammers was maybe the year after. But Manolis was just getting his head around it and was getting like loads of foreign bands over at that time, but not under the umbrella of Up to Hammers. And then the year after, I think he set up to Hammers. But it's so cool over there, man. It's just they're all on the same page. It's like an ant colony of metal. They all just work together.
And would you have? Obviously, I mean, sometimes would it be right to say is are not lumped in with the Celtic metal? It's kind of you're associated with it, but not, I think is quite different from a lot of the other bands, And again, no disrespect to anybody. But you are quite different in your approach. Do you think, I know Celtic have gone to Europe and they've done great, and obviously Primordial and all this kind of stuff. Do you think that there's a penchant for that kind of Irish metal in Europe, or would you think it's just because because we're Irish, or?
Well, no, look, there's a couple of things involved in that. I mean, there is, on a European level, because of the history and the culture. I mean, there is an appetite for like kind of nationalistic music. You know, everyone likes to hear a bit of another country's culture coming out in their music, particularly in heavy metal.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing as well with bands like that is they're so, you know, they really focus in on their genre and they're very consistent on the way they approach it. They carve out a sound. Like I'd always say that with Primordial, to say Waylander, Morning Beloved, they you know, they're experts in their field. Have created nearly a micro niche for themselves, which has contributed to their success. Like, and that's brilliant, and I really respect that. But it's just very hard for us to do because, like we were saying, 6 musicians, we're all writing. It's very hard to narrow it down to one, and I don't think any of us want to either. You know, this is about us, and it's about our expression as musicians and coming together. And it's healthier for us, and it's the reason why we've been together for so long. But for record labels, and I know speaking to Alan from Primordial, you know, it is a problem, like, because it's hard to sell something that people can't put a definitive box around.
Yeah.
But look, it's a problem on the commercial side, but we hope to fix that by just completely subduing listeners into bombarding them with releases and songs in the future. Like, you know, they'll eventually give in.
Absolutely. I have to say, I was listening to Beyond the Black there earlier on. It's a fantastic album, I have to say. Very enjoyable, I must say. I like Nevermore. I like all the songs on it, actually. Nevermore is a good track, you know. Yeah. But you have something ready to drop, have you, or something to follow up that now, or?
Yeah, it's we're working on it. It's definitely far from ready. But just if not for COVID, maybe we'd be closer to finish by now. But we've got like an album ready, but we're kind of doing it one half at a time, just to give ourselves time to kind of let the mix settle and everything else. We want to get the first 4 songs done, complete them as if they're completely done, and just give ourselves a couple. That was the plan, you know. Maybe we're probably planning on having it all done by kind of last Christmas.
Yeah.
And then over Christmas, just kind of give ourselves a few weeks, go see what we like, what we don't like about the mix, is there anything we want changed, and then we'll know. Because see what happened with the last album was it was kind of a bit rushed then near the end with the mix. And to be fair to Mick, he did. We said it to him, and a few weeks later he went back and he started again. He just did a new mix,
okay. And
it was a bit closer then to kind of something we were happier with, you know. But we'd rather not have that kind of rush at the end. Like, you know, you spend every weekend over a few months recording an album, and then you just go, yeah, right, that's the final mix without thinking about it. You know?
It wasn't just a mix though. It was like we were saying at the beginning, it was a productivity thing, like being overproductive. It was like, right, we knew the time was coming where we had to have another album, and it was like, right, our focus was spread everywhere on about 19 songs, and every practice we're coming up, we're writing another one, and we're developing that into a song, and the other 19 before it, they weren't getting fleshed out and finished, you know. So we were just like steamrolling too far ahead of ourselves. So it was the kind of thing where we're like, okay, we mightn't have picked out the exact 8 or 9 songs we're doing now, but let's just set a date and let's just go to the studio and try and pick out 4 songs, get them done, and then we'll try and we'll work in rehearsals then, get the next 4 and do them at a separate stage, you know. Because if it was the kind of thing where we had to do it all at once, like pick out the 8 or 9 songs, rehearse them all at the same time, it's another barrier to getting into the studio. Sometimes you just need to have those dates, have a schedule, and work towards that. And it's not just me. I know the other lads are kind of like that. They need that bit of pressure behind to kind of work towards. Otherwise, we're just going everywhere, like, you know, all around the houses. That point as well. That by kind of separating it into 2 things, it can be much more focused on, by kind of you're splitting the project in 2, as opposed to you're learning say 8 or 9 songs, and by the time you're going into the studio, there might be parts of it you hadn't given them time, you hadn't given the ideas enough time to really kind of get fleshed out, so it does help having more focused kind of product then. If you're just I hate using the word product talking about music. You know yourself, like if you're focusing on 4 songs over 6 months in rehearsals, like it's much easier to get them fleshed out than it is to focus on 8 or 9, you know, because you're getting bits and pieces done. It's just a much quicker process, and it would have went a lot better to plan if it wasn't for, you know, the coronavirus and everything happening.
The event,
the thing that will never be mentioned.
The inconvenience, the great inconvenience.
I don't know, what Irish bands are you into? Irish metal bands? Are you keeping on top of what's going on in the Irish scene at the minute, or?
Oh yeah, we will be. Mainly for me, thanks to Oren O'Byrne and the Metal to the Masses. Like for me, it was a big kind of eye opener to what was coming up, you know, and what was around. I was super impressed. Like I think creatively, I think it's the Irish scene is in a much better position than it ever was.
Yeah,
it's just like Oren and even Steve Dempsey, like they're the guys who are doing a lot of work, you know, I think, in holding it together.
Yeah,
I think if you had a couple of more people like that across the country outside of Dublin, I think it would do wonders for the scene as a whole. Because we have all the resources there. We just need to get like a national infrastructure and support there. You know, and I think, I said, like, Oren and Steve are doing a great job up in Dublin, you know, and just giving you a sense of unity, that it's not just, even like Metal to the Masses, it's not a competition. You're not against these guys, you know, you're part of something that's bigger than you as a band, you know, and really does instill that into you. And I was just super impressed, like, the amount of good bands that are out there at the minute. Obviously, like, you have Dead Label, and yourselves, 10 Ton Slug, then the classics of Morning Beloved and Primordial and Waylander.
Yes, we've produced some amazing talent. More than probably what we should have for the little size of the country that we have.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
You know, are you aware of the All Ireland Metal project that's happening at the minute?
Yeah, I we were talking about it earlier. I'd seen a few things on Facebook, and as I was saying to Carl before we started, it's annoyingly just my living situation, and it's living in an apartment with like housemates and other people all around you. Vocals are one thing you can't really record, otherwise I would have been part of it. Like,
I don't know. I presume did you know about it, lads? It's basically it's a collective. It's basically like Roadrunner United.
Right, yeah. So no, I didn't know it.
There's about 120 of us after forming teams or bands or whatever, and we're recording.
Oh, brilliant.
So, excuse me. So, for example, I'm working with 3 different projects as vocalist, you know, and I'm leading one, and I'm going to just follow with the other 2. But we were doing it basically to try and the thing is called Ashiri, which is resurrection in Irish. Yeah. So we're trying to resurrect some semblance of unity, and, you know, within the metal scene, an Irish metal scene. Yeah. And it was put out there for everybody, and whoever wanted to see or whoever saw it could come on or whatever. There was no restrictions or anything. Anybody could come onto it, like, you know what I mean? So I'm sure.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant idea, and like I've seen more people like that doing stuff. You know, you had Claire from Dead Label. I think she was doing an Irish metal playlist, and on Spotify, you know, I was getting like all the bands onto it. Then there was I think John Collard from Neon Empire.
Yeah,
he was doing one as well. I think his playlist is Modern Metal Empire. He's a load of Irish bands on that as well. Then yourselves doing this. You know, I think collectively, the more people are doing it and involving other people in it, it's good for everyone as a whole. You know?
Well, that's it. We're just, I mean, as a collective, I think we're just trying to kickstart the scene again, you know, because, I mean, hopefully, I mean, who knows, like, we're not allowed to play gigs now.
Yeah, I know.
Apparently. So who knows when they're gonna come back, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what, like, you know, I don't know, maybe if it comes up again, I know Dara from Horrenda, who's the main head honcho, not head honcho, but he came up with the idea. He said he wouldn't do it again because it's an awful lot. Like, this thing is actually it's actually happening. You know, there's the guts of, I'd say, 30 tracks, 40 tracks been worked on at the minute. Now, whether we get 40 or not is another thing, but we're gonna get a really good chunk of music to represent bands from all over the place, from all over the scene. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I just think it'd be great to see you on it next time, maybe.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You know.
Hopefully it doesn't take another pandemic, but yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But you know,
We'll be all dead by the next one.
Stop. Thanks, man. I wanted.
No, I'm sorry, it's not you. I thought it was.
He just means humanity in general. He wasn't getting more.
So, I think we're gonna kind of close it up now. I could talk to this for hours, but you know, people would probably switch off because they're sick of me. You know.
No.
Before we go, just each one of you give me your favorite album if you can, or if you have to pick two, so you're not choosing between one. There you go. Bonzo, I'll start with you.
Right, yeah, I'll pick two. Iron Maiden, Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, and Death, Sound of Perseverance.
Nice choice. Fuzzy.
One I've been listening to recently, I've started to appreciate, was Dream Theater's Metropolis Part 2. I was listening to that a lot, but one of my favourites, to be quite honest, is Pink Floyd's Animals.
Nice. Why was I expecting you to say Deftones or something like that?
I don't know. It's the whole country farmer vibe, isn't it?
Must be. Jimmy, you?
My one's probably Dark Tranquility, Damage Done.
Nice, I like that.
I mean, I just can't stop listening to it. Like 16 years later, I think when I first heard it, I'm still my favorite. It's endless.
Absolutely, gents. I can't believe that's nearly an hour. Would you believe?
Oh yeah.
Near enough.
Time flies when you're having fun, huh?
Absolutely. Come here. Would you come on again?
Oh, definitely,
definitely.
I'd love you to come on again, and I think I might have said it to you before about we have another style of KingWoes Court that I'm trying to do. I had just done the first episode before lockdown, and it's called Under the Influence, and so that's basically getting 2 or 3 years in, if possible, to the court here, and basically talking about the main band that influences you, your sound as a collective, and then you will acoustically play a song of that band, and then I'll sing a song which is as well. So I think maybe somewhere down the line I'd love to have you down if you'd be up for it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. So you're on the usual SoundCloud, Spotify, all those things. I will provide links for people in the description of this video. And we will be going out on Monday evening at 10 p.m. So I will be looking forward to seeing how this turns out. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with you and mess, I suppose. Very light-hearted, I must say. It was great to chat to you. I've obviously known about you all, but the only one that I did know was John. So it was great to actually get to chat to you and have the
right, definitely, it was great.
You know, so we're gonna leave now, KingWoes Court, because KingWoes has to go to bed. No, he doesn't. I'm just saying. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming into KingWoes Court, and we will have you back on real soon.
Pleasure, Carl. Thanks a million for having us.
Thanking you for having us.
Adios.